Ladies and gentlemen, uh, today, okay, I'm going to be as frank as I can be because you find that in South Africa, everybody is complaining about the education system, everybody is complaining about maths and science, everybody is complaining and complaining and complaining, but the solutions or the purported solutions that have been put in place have not worked. And why is it that they haven't worked? So I've looked at the South African education system, and I can say that it is extremely flawed. But just to be precise, I'm not talking about the higher education. I'm talking about the schooling, high school, primary school system, right? My first question is, why do kids have to write exams in every grade so that they progress to the next one? You know, this is a basis of saying that learning is linear, that you start at point A, then B, then C, then D, like that. I can tell you that there are some concepts that even if you're taught in grade 1, you will never get them. You will never ever get them. You only get them later on, maybe grade 7, you know. So learning is not linear. So that's the first fallacy that we have in our system, that learning is linear. So this is false, right? So the education department has to make sure that this fallacy is corrected, because you find that a child fails grade 1, repeats grade 1 or repeats grade 4, whatever it is. What does that do to the child? There's no confidence. There's nothing. You've already destroyed that child, right? They were going to catch up, but what happened? They were stopped, and what do? They lose interest in school. So this is the biggest problem that we have in our system. Kids, yes, they should write tests and all that. Yes, fine as feedback, but they should not repeat grades because they failed. They should move and they should write those exams maybe at grade 7, at maybe grade 10, or like after 5 years or something like that, when they are much mature. Because you find in primary school there are a lot of kids that are immature. I mean, you wouldn't expect primary kids to be mature anyway. So it's about maturity, not about ability, right? And being kids, yes, they are kids. So leave them, let them be. Give them time to play. Give them time to be, So this is the biggest fallacy that we have in our country right now. And we have to resolve this. The government and all the stakeholders, the researchers, nobody's ever mentioned this. Look at Finland, for example. I think Finland is a beacon of education, because they don't write exams until they're about 16 or so. Kids play. Kids are kids, So we need to adapt that as well in our country. And I believe that this is the major problem that we have. And then we look at, the department, right? They focus on teacher paperwork as opposed to students actually learning, The question is there learning going on in the classes? Or they're just rubrics that teachers are filling in and fulfilling their obligation to actually submit stuff to the department, right? So we have to analyze how best we can minimize paperwork for teachers, for educators, the politically correct term. So we have to minimize paperwork and let teachers focus on teaching, on imparting knowledge, right? That's very, very important. And then this thing of saying, 30% is a pass, this thing of saying 40% is a pass, that's nonsense. 50% is the pass. It's either you passed or you failed. There should be that bold line at 50% to say below half, above half, period. Not this thing of, oh yes, oh what. And also, you see, remember, that 30%, there's coursework there. So it's a fallacy there. Wrong. This is wrong. South Africa, this is wrong. Right? This is wrong. Right. And then you find, what? I think it's a social problem, actually, where it dates back to the system that was there, right? Where toying was the way to to be heard. And now people should realize that we are in a free South Africa, and there is no need to actually toy. You find that that very thinking is ingrained in our children. They want freebies. Why? Because the government is trying to redress past ills by giving freebies, right? And they think that life is a BEE transaction. They think that education is a BEE transaction where you're going to get marks without working for it. I believe that this can be changed if we change the very social fabric of our society, where parents, communities play an important role in emphasizing the fact that for you to pass maths and science, you have to work for it. You have to sweat. There is nothing for mahala, right? You can never get something for nothing, right? Yes, I applaud the government for doing the RDP houses, for doing BEE and all those projects, but the emphasis should be on empowerment, true empowerment, which is likened by that statement that says, give a guy a rod to fish, not to give him the fish. Because what do they do? They'll come back again. So what are we doing? These kids are born free. They were not affected by apartheid in a sense, you understand? They have a chance to actually think like independent and free beings, and they can actually soar to greater heights. So this is my argument to say that let us not lower our standards and give free marks to kids and tell them that it's okay. Yes, you can get something for nothing. Let's emphasize on hard work, like what the Japanese and Chinese do. You know, their culture is based on hard work. You know, everything about them is about rigor, it's about grit, it's about passion, it's about focus, you know. So we need to adopt some of those qualities as well, right? And I believe, you know, that government and the private sector, because the private sector is very good at pointing their fingers at the government, but I believe that both sides are actually not doing enough to attract talented, intelligent, successful graduates from universities to actually take up teaching. I believe that once we can attract good teachers into the schools, then we're going to solve half the problem that we have. Because right now we have a situation where the blind are leading the blind. The guys who couldn't go into engineering, the guys who couldn't go into medicine are the ones that are teaching our kids. They're the ones that were below average, maybe, or just average in school themselves. So they never actually appreciated some of these concepts. You know, how can a maths teacher who doesn't appreciate the concept teach another one? So it's, you see, we're wasting our time. So we need to make sure that we attract the best people, the talented people. Yes, and then government is pouring money into matric intervention programs. But you see, that's silly. A child who has been mistaught for years, for the whole time, and suddenly you want to give a program, a 1-month program or a 2-week program over the holiday and expect to change their fortunes. That's silly. That's madness, right? And the government pours lots of money. There's so many of these foundations and little organizations that are coming up, and government is ready to fund. Yes, it's good to intervene, but the focus should be at the formative level, early childhood development. The focus should be on making sure that kids grasp the basics, kids grasp the kind of mindset that is needed to succeed in education, right? Not this thing of let's have a matric intervention program in July when, you know, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. Yes, so we should actually redress that, right? And then parents are not taking part in their children's lives. You know, schools have become dumping grounds, and they expect the teachers to actually grow their children for them and teach them how to behave. You know, I think parents, South African parents, single parents or parents or families with both parents, all of you, change your ways. Change your ways. I say, change your ways. How can you not participate in your child's life? How can you let the future of your child be in someone else's hands? That is nonsense. Right? And you find the community at large, they mystify maths. When they hear of maths, they run away. When they hear of maths, they ingrain the fear of maths in kids. So kids have got low expectations. So kids find it normal to fail maths and science. We have to change this as South Africans. We have to change this. This is unacceptable. This is nonsense. I'll keep saying nonsense until you hear me. And I hope those decision makers, the policy makers, actually hear this so that you can actually do something about this. Because this is infuriating. Communities. So what can we do? Maybe we should take the parents to school. Teach them how to support their kids. Make it mandatory for parents to go to school a certain number of hours a year. I think that would be the best. That would be the best. So that we have a credible, solid support system. Because outside the school, kids don't have support. They don't have support because the community cannot support them. So let us push towards a society, a community outside the school that is capable of giving support to our learners so that they can actually succeed. They should be able to compete globally, you understand? So those are the social ills affecting our enhancement, right? Our learner enhancement, Communities are not doing enough. What's wrong with parents going back to school? Going back to school for the sake of their kids. Or if they don't go back to school then, when their child is in grade 1, they should do grade 1 maths with the child. Right? Anyway, discovery method is the best method. They can discover together. Grade 2. So it means that a parent should actually go through a 12-year program, where if their child is in grade 1, they are also in grade 1. In grade 2, they're also in grade 2. I wish parents could also be tested to see if they've been assisting their kids. We put too much responsibility on kids because parents are not doing enough, eh? And then this thing, yes, it's good. Nationalism is good. But you find that culture of nationalism is an archaic principle because now we live in a global village. Not much is being done, especially in the poor rural communities and townships, to actually conscientize kids that they should be able to compete globally, to compete with someone from Harvard, to compete with someone from Cambridge, to compete with the Russians, to compete with the Japanese. All they see is themselves going to school, going to varsity, getting a job, and being in their own little sphere of influence within their townships. Now, that's a fallacy. Let us teach them to think big, to see the bigger picture, to be world leaders. We've got so many examples of people from South Africa who have made it out there. And why are we not emphasizing that point? So this is me ranting. This is me frustrated by the points that I've put. So this is my contribution to the South African education system. Take note of it.